What's up, guys? Coach Ben here with Coach Ben Podcast. I'm here with Dan. We just finished up a podcast, and I wanted to ask Dan on his opinion of this topic. So, as gym owners, we're both academy owners of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gyms, martial arts gyms. What do you think, Dan, is the best way for us as academy owners to retain students during COVID-19?
Well, assuming that you have not adopted the philosophy of closing down, which is what your school has done.
I've
He's
already
closed down and just
more
restart
importantly,
it
I've stopped charging.
Yeah. So that's one legitimate strategy that you can do. And probably your students would be very happy with that strategy, to be honest.
I have a plan for paid in full memberships when we get back.
Yeah. So for those that are continuing to operate to the best of the ability, it's a simple matter of providing as much value as you possibly can for their membership. So the question then is, what can you do? Well, the obvious things are Zoom classes.
Okay.
That's number one, because that way you can have some sort of interaction with your students. You can provide instructional in a class that, quite honestly, at the end of the day, is extremely similar to what you're doing at the gym. It's not similar psychologically, which is going to be the biggest thing, because you're still doing the exercises. You can teach a lot through grappling dummies and something like that, or if they have a brother and sister or a mom or a dad that's willing to do the class for them, which has, in my experience, been the case. And if they don't have a grappling dummy, I can provide it. And then anywhere else where you can hustle and provide some sort of value. For my students, I have an instructional. I gave them access to the instructional for free. I provide analysis classes, something other than dummy classes, because those are not as popular with the adults. With the kids, they're fine. Kids do what they're told to do. Parents say, here, you're sitting down, you're doing the class, and they're fine with that. But for adults, I think they're into things that are not into the dummy classes as much. And they would be interested a little bit more in analysis. In rules, you can incorporate rules.
Class.
Yeah, sometimes depends on what lineage you are. You might actually need to have to go and research some of the nuances of the rules, because they are incredibly, incredibly nuanced on that level. But you can incorporate these types of things. You can have your students film techniques, and then you provide analysis of those techniques and say, just like, Henry Gracie had it right all along. Just like their blue belt tests and things, you can grade them and provide abstract ways to really keep interacting with your students. But it's not really as easy as this. I don't think that I've quite captured the nuance of something like this and the business context of it as well. Is that it's very tricky. Once a student gets committed to what you're doing, if you're trying to do some sort of remote teaching, once they get committed, it's easy. They're already they're in the system, they know how to log in and check in. But there's a very large barrier that you need to overcome to get that student in there.
Yes.
With kids, you have to convince their parents. And some of the parents,
I think that's easier, right?
It really depends on the parent. I think that, in my experience, I don't want to say good kids have good parents and bad kids have bad parents. I don't want to label it like this, but the most successful students at my academy have the most involved parents, where they don't need any sort of convincing to do this. They'll check the website, see what the plan is, and be on board with it by and large.
I say that because Zoom classes that I see online are always with the kids. There's always full, but I rarely see adult Zoom classes.
Yes.
At all.
Yes, and that is another issue. But let me finish with the kids, because on the flip side of things is that there is a contingent of parents that they're a little bit more hands-off, let's just say. The hands-off parents checking their email, which might have been a junk email address that they gave you, getting them to set up a Zoom account, to set up a computer and a workstation and a mat and fixing the grappling dummy. The initial investment of energy is quite high.
Yes.
And as you said, the adults is a separate issue. So get to that in a second. But it's similar in what I'm about to say, is that how we go about getting that initial threshold crossed is very difficult. Because if you send out, let's say a little bit before the lockdown, you said, okay, you send out a blast email and said, this is our plan, we're going to live stream the classes, and you got a contingent of people in. And now there's a huge contingent that aren't, and they're canceling, day by day, a little bit of cancellations each day. Sending out that other email to reminder beyond like 1 or 2 times in the beginning, that's the riskiest email that you can send.
Yes, do not send that email.
That's what Ben was representing. Talk to me about this. We were talking off camera about this.
Yeah, what we're saying is, this is unfortunate, but it's not the intent of sending emails to members, right? Is really to get them up to speed on what's happening with the academy, right? So I remember sending an email to the members, I think early in March about just this COVID thing, right? And right off the bat, that returned me with 3 cancellations. It's fine. It is what it is. But a lot of times as a business owner, you gotta you can't be doing certain things that are going to lean people toward a cancellation, I guess.
And the unfortunate reality is, I agree with you, is let me give you more nuance to the situation. Is I'm looking at classes, the kids are okay. Like I have 9 kids on a good day, like 9. That's great. A great Zoom class. I go home feeling really nice about the success of that. But I know it's the same 9 kids every day. Yeah. Maybe up to 12 total that'll cycling in, making an average class of 9, but it's the same kids. And it's like, I know that I haven't got cancellations yet from this person, this person, this person. It's like, we need to reach them and we need to let them know and try and get them in. But if you do that, even though you're sending this email to say, hey, look at all these services that we're providing and these classes, and this is what we're doing for your money. Yeah. The reality is that most of the people are going to see that email and they're going to say, oh yeah, I'm paying for that. That's what they're going to say. And so let me give one example. I sent out 2 emails explaining the program and right at the beginning of the lockdown, and then had been silent. And the classes have more or less been stable. No new students that coming into them, and the ones that were doing it were not quitting. So there's like a let's call them the hardcores, like the ones that are just going to be with you no matter what. But recently I got an email from a mom that was canceling on behalf of their kids. And kind of the way that we've been approaching it is like, more or less, this is just like a non-softened version is, okay, no problem. I'm sorry you couldn't participate in the Zoom classes. Trying to drop like, hey, we have Zoom classes. Like we didn't see you in one of them. Like kind of like that's the thing. And they're like, oh, really? You didn't know that you had Zoom classes? And it's like, oh man, this person didn't know. They didn't check. It went to the junk box, whatever. And it's like, do I send another email? And I had been thinking that it was a bad idea. If you send everyday emails, you're going to flush them out all real quick. Oh, yeah. All the ones. Oh, yeah. But then it might leave you with a more stable student base. Yes. Like, that these guys are going to be here and in the program, and you might get more.
If it wasn't a business, I think it would be fine. But it's a business. So
that brings in the reservations of not doing it every day and then wanting to do it now. But hearing this student's kind of story made me want to send out a blast email, for example. And my wife and I disagreed on this. I thought that the emails, beyond just initial informing and then continual updating on the website, the social media, and the YouTube where it actually takes place, that's their gateway into Zoom, was a really bad idea. And so she was hounding on me. She wanted me to do it every single day. So I said,
can you
no.
Clarify, what did she want you to do every single day?
Every day, send out a notification for the classes. This is it. Here's how you get in. Here's the link. Here's the time. Because we're on different time schedules.
You're going to get cancellations like that.
Yeah. And so we drafted the email. I had my wife do it.
Can I give you one scenario?
Hang on. Let me the end result. Yeah, and then we can go on. The end result was, after 2 days before that, I got 6 cancellations off that email, and not a single person back not a single new person into the Zoom classes.
Yeah.
Which I would have been okay with the cancellations if like a few just like come on, like
Try the Zoom.
Try it.
See the effort
like
I'm
if
putting in.
No, it's not about that. It's not about the effort that I'm putting in. It's not about me so much. Mm-hmm. It's about, I know that if I can get these kids in, that it's a good class. It's a good class.
It'll be
I have
beneficial.
professional production on the Zoom classes.
You do.
And like they're good classes, and I have a personality that works well with kids, and I'm very highly adaptable, but I get no chance. Right. That was my motivation for sending out the email. It was just a blunder. It was a blunder. I was depressed. Some of my longest time kid students canceled after that. It hurt. It really did.
Okay. All right, Dan, let me give you a scenario here. And I think so when there's these kind of times of bad, I guess, one of the good things is innovation comes out, right? The strong survive. In this case, the innovative, or the people that are able to be creative, survive, right? So I had this thought that in the future, I know this is not feasible for every academy, but what if we prepared all of our students who were members who came into the class and trained every day, prepared for this type of event, and just took the academy and did a portion of it online as a normal part of the curriculum. Like you stream the classes, and you have your students set up a small portion in their houses. So if they can come to class, great. We'd like to have you in class, but a lot of times people can't make it to class, but they'd rather stay at home. They get lazy, whatever. They have mailman's coming, whatever, refrigerator, repairman's coming. So is that, I've never seen this done before. What do you think about this idea?
I've done it.
You've done it. Mm-hmm. How did that turn?
It's great. I mean, like, I don't always do it, but I do often professionally stream. So not just like a webcam on your
consistently.
Whatever. I have done it on a consistent basis, but it's not for. It is for the people who are at home and who can't make it, and they want to see all the guys train. And I tend to do it a little bit more when I have like the elite black belts training, right. Because that's interesting. Like, hey, what happens when Taliesin rolls with Pato? Like, let's watch that. What happens when a brown belt world champion rolls with like a black belt world champion? Like, let's take a look at that.
They're pretty even, right?
Yeah, and sometimes reverse of what you would expect.
Yeah,
which is shocking. And I say brown belt, and sometimes that's purple belt.
I've been in that room,
and it's world champion. Yes, you have. Yeah, and sometimes it's opposite. Like, but anyways, so that really does serve well the people who are just going to be with us no matter what. Like,
you're right.
Honestly,
the people that are dedicated, they'll probably show up anyway.
Like, as far as like conditioning them for a phase like this, I don't think it had any bearing, because largely what I'm doing is horribly unsuccessful. So, on a business level. So, like, if I've done it and people are like already, like, they come to me because I attract a certain type of student. And that certain type of student is one that's a little bit more analytical, a little bit nerdier, wanting to analyze and things like that. And I'm already prepping them by providing some elements of what you said. And I'm just horribly struggling. I don't think so. I don't think it matters at all. Right. I think it's just a cluster mess, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So I mean, not nothing, but
yeah. Other than the Zoom classes, other than, don't send these emails at inopportune time.
That's up to you.
So as a business owner and as somebody who doesn't do this for money either, I'm not money motivated to run my academies. I would say that I'm not going to go out of my way to get cancellations, but at the same time, if the information needs to get out to my members, I'm going to send the email no matter what. What about, is there anything else that you can think of for the academy owners that are still charging their members? Because what I'm seeing is a lot of people online at Reddit, forums, they're saying, well, should I keep paying my gym? My gym's still charging me. I think the majority of gyms are still charging their members. Would you agree?
I don't have.
Seems to me that way. That's just my feeling.
But it seems like there is a lot that are still doing that, and I guess it all depends on because of lack of centralized leadership in our country. It's left all the states to come up with their own policies, and even within that, some of the counties within those states coming up with their own policies within that. So it's very difficult to say how the majority is right now, because how the majority is might not be the same in California as it is in New York or something like that.
It doesn't really matter too much.
Yes. So yes, I think the majority are charging.
Yeah. Other than the Zoom classes, don't send the emails in inopportune time. Is there anything else that you can think of? I just want to get Jim, chime in if you have anything. Is there anything else an academy owner, a business owner can do to provide value while they have their students paying membership? And I'm going to assume it's a full membership.
Analysis classes,
rules
classes, analyzing your students' competitions if they've had them. Providing an analysis on that. And I think a lot of the value that you provide is not in jiu-jitsu. I really strongly believe that. I believe a lot of the value that you bring to the table is the social aspect, because that's a big part of what jiu-jitsu contributes to society, is that I think everybody needs a drive and a purpose. And that drive and purpose has been removed from a lot of people's lives in the jiu-jitsu community. Those who are already struggling with depression issues, and jiu-jitsu was that outlet, are really struggling. So I think a part of the value that you can add is non-jiu-jitsu as well, is organizing the social component of your gym in non-jiu-jitsu related things. I think keeping in contact is so important. But within that, you had also the discussion of I can't even email, but the ones that are like a real part of your nucleus of your gym. They already know. They see what you post on Facebook, like your personal Facebook. That's a small contingent of your students. Especially organizing that contingent and then bringing others in, I think actually provides a lot of value. Yeah. When I first did the dummy classes prior to the lockdown and after, is that honestly we just wanted to sit and talk to each other for 30 minutes of the class. We were just talking, how are you doing? How's the baby? Your baby had surgery, had open heart surgery. How did it go? How's it going? All that. And we ended up I end up talking because I've just been interacting with my kids, right? Just talking to other adults that are in the same situation from you, I think is very therapeutic. So I think that's an important value to not be understated as well. I mean, I don't know. Just hold a Zoom meeting. It's no jiu-jitsu. See what happens. It's free, so might as well.
Interesting. I think that's something that, I just don't. It's never been a huge part of my academy. I just want to train, and I think the community is the academy. But I think you're right. I think maybe just holding.
It depends on everybody. Everybody's different. Gym dynamics are different.
Yeah, I have a Facebook group that I'm very active in that I try to get everybody involved in. But really, it's just...
So do I. But the difference was remarkable. But when I did the first dummy class after the lockdown, it was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to see all of you. Right. On my level, too. It's not... I mean, these people pay me, yes. But I kind of see it as they're paying for the gym. And that... they are paying for my services. But I need them as well. In my life. It's the drive in my life. And I think there was kind of a mutual understanding of that, especially in those first couple
I think
of
me
classes.
and you have a very similar motivation for why we teach jiu-jitsu and
Everybody
why we have
does.
the gym.
Yeah.
If people knew how much money I've sunk into this gym, they would laugh their asses off at me.
Fortunately, I have not.
But I just I like nice things in my gym sometimes, and it is what it is. So anyway. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for giving us a good bunch of things that we can focus on. Jim, any last words?
Very good discussion, gentlemen. I like the whole idea of this is a big social club at the end of the day, right? And in these times, maybe focusing on the social aspect of this and being creative on how we can stay connected to our community and have our community thrive on the other side of this really unfortunate circumstance.
That's it. All right. Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Coach.